Hey guys, YouTube, this is Jonathan here. Welcome to Beer Tour. So today we're looking at the most Korean beer ever. What I mean by this, that this channel was purposely made to introduce you with Korean beers, and here you are. Whole label designed in Korean flag style, and it's named daehan IPA by Platinum Brewery. Here we go. I believe this is the top Korean beer out there. Just looking at the name, the label design, boom, Korean beer. So as many of you know that the IPA stands for the India Pale Ale, and that's was the word IPA was made when they were trying to ship out beer from England to India. That whole 12 months of shipping process was too long, and that ongoing up and down of the temperature would easily alter the good taste of the beer, so it wouldn't be tasty at all once it arrives to the final destination. So what they have done was to increase the alcohol percentage, and they put a whole lot of hops inside so that the antioxidant properties of the hop would maintain that freshness and the taste of the beer, and at the same time the whole long process of 12 months shipping date will be a no problem. And here usually I have 3 cans here, 2 for you to show and 1 for me to pour it down in a glass and have a taste with it. But today I have 1 can and I have a box, and this box is a special box. It's from the brewery themselves, the Platinum Beer, and you probably guessed it right. This is the glass. Special glass just for this daehan IPA Session IPA. Let's take a look. The open box ceremony. Here we are, the glass from the Platinum Beer Brewery Company. I like their stylish box design with the gold logo. Professional tasting glass. It's about time somebody acknowledged me as a professional. Yes, I'm just kidding. So here we are. We're gonna start the taste early, and let's switch it up a little bit, and I'll tell you about the contents of this whole idea afterwards. Here we go. In a professional tasting glass from the brewery themselves, and pouring down their brewed beer. So the color, it's stale and gold. There's a lot of foam here. It's very thick, and the foam is it's not disappearing that quick, and there's a lot of tropical scent coming off when I'm sniffing off the glass. And the taste, interesting thing about this Session IPA is that it's very easy for me to drink this. The flow of the liquid going through my passageways, the throat, from my palate, from my mouth, is very smooth. And there is that tropical scent, very strong. And I would hope that I would taste some tropical in the liquid as well, but no. The entire time, the first moment that the liquid touched my palate till the end, when I kept sipping in the liquid, I would only taste that sweetness from the liquid. And as soon as I let go from my lips, the glass, I put it down on the table, and I drink all the liquids inside my mouth, through the throat, down to my system, and there is that bitterness just dominating inside my mouth. And it's still ongoing. There is a bitterness, yes. You know, drinking in this fancy glass, the professional tasting beer, the glass, it really sets the mood. I think the way we approach and looking at the personal perspective of the beer will change as soon as you use the glass. It's an interesting beer. So, like I mentioned, that there's a lot of rich tropical fruit scent. There's a hops, yes. When I'm drinking, there's sweetness and nuts, and there is a bitterness dominating in all around on top of your palate, inside the mouth, and that bitterness is so strong at the end taste. But there is a strong tropical scent in the beginning. But as much as for you would expect that there will be a tropical flavor or any related taste, but there isn't. But it's bold. The taste is bold off from the tropical scent, which is I would say an easy way to approach to a IPA style beer, especially for the beginners. So like I mentioned in the beginning, the IPA, you know, that 12 months of whole processing shipments from the England to India required them to increase or use the high alcohol contents, and they use a whole lot of the hops, so there will be strong hoppiness with high alcohol contents. But this Session IPA, it's another name that came after. Basically, the session meaning that basically an easy way of understanding of the Session IPA would be that it will be a beer that you could drink more than a single pint of and not feel satiated. So Session IPA, so 1 pint after one another but you will still not feel full or too inebriated. So basically, the modern people would describe these session beers would be somewhere the alcohol dose is less than the 5%. That's basically just standard, not standard, but easy way of explaining what the session beer would be. Because it would be session and IPA, so strong hoppiness but low content of alcohol. It's an easy way to drink, smooth and approach to that standard IPA taste where that strong bitterness and the hop. Some people would disagree with the taste. They would not like it on their first trial, sure. But once you get used to the IPA, you would fall into that characteristics and the lovely taste of the IPA after all. However, it is that the entry level is required for new people. So someone who's trying to figure out there's more than just the lagers out there. It will be the perfect example of approaching as an entry level, as a beginner. So session and IPA. IPA is somewhere in the level where a beginner would avoid trying having because they're not used to that bitterness and hoppiness. And it's combined with the session, the idea of having it's allowing you to have more than one pint and easy to drink, and just like having a session with your friends, session with the beer. Session IPA is a perfect example of a beginner level of beer. If you're interested in getting to know other type of beer other than what you had been drinking, and you're trying to approach somewhere in the IPA zone and you're too afraid to be disapproved of the IPA taste with your palate, this will be, I would say, the good recommendation for the entry level. It's an easy and smooth to drink beer, very standard at the beginner level. And for the food pairing, they have website, their company of course. They suggested the food pair for this beer would be the homemade burgers, pizza, and somewhere in the spicy food. There's a lot of spicy food, and I would love more if they would have recommended exactly what kind of specific spicy food they're talking about, but generally just spicy food. So I guess they're suggesting that any spicy food could go well with this beer, because it's, after all, even though it's a session IPA, it's an easy entry level of the IPA. However, it's still an IPA. There's a bitterness, like I've mentioned. So I guess that's what they're trying to identify the characteristic by pairing food with the spicy food, because that bitterness will clear off that hot and spiciness that you must endure after just taking a bite off from any spicy food that are out there. So I guess that makes sense. So session IPA, yes, bold. Anyway, so guys, this is just by looking at the label design of the can. It has Korean flag. It's the Korean beer, if you know what I mean. And I have never seen a label design that makes the beer so Korean. Korean label design in a Korean flag. And even the name of the IPA, session IPA, is daehan IPA. Daehanmin국 is Korean in Korean. It's Korea in Korean. And daehan IPA. I guess the brewers trying to suggest that this is Korean session IPA. Well done. Yeah. Well, although this makes such a Korean beer, from the label design to the name of the beer, but if I give a point out of 5 for this beer, I would give about 3. I would be generous. I was about to say 2.9, but I would give 3 out of 5 of this beer, because it's that how do I phrase this kindly? It's an enjoyable beer for entry level for sure. However, this is called a session IPA. There is a strong tropical scent off from the liquid before having a sip of this liquid. So you would kind of feel that there will be somewhere of the taste as well from the tropical scent. However, there is absolutely no tropical flavors in it. Just the scent is very bold, and there's a sweetness. I would have hoped that sweetness should be somewhere from the tropical fruit, but it's just almost feels like an artificial sweetness were forcefully put in while manufacturing or brewing process, and that strong bitterness coming after that sweetness, just as moments that liquid just flow through, to entirely flow through your inner system. And that bitterness, I think it's kind of off from the idea of having session IPA, because session IPA are supposed to make an easy drinkable situation for the beginner levels, as an entry level or as a beginner level, I mean. So that bitterness is, I think, it's just a bit way off, and it's kind of in a level where I would rephrase as too bitter. But after all, this is an entry level, and If you're too afraid of having these standard IPA beers, then try these. But there are more less bitter session IPAs that are out there with more rich and sweetness from the tropical scent and everything else. But this one, if I were to put a word to just simply describe this beer, bold and bitter. Once again, thank you very much for watching my video, and please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I will come back with a whole lot interesting Korean beers in the next video. And this was Jonathan, and this was Beer Tour and Soul. Thank you very much, and bye bye.